I always say the same because, there are certain people, especially on social media, and that they make it a thing. They always, there's one or two like really French haters, and, anything of Pogacar and Vingegaard and even Remco, it's not possible. It's not normal, they say. Then I look, at these times, and look, you just gave me the time. 2 minutes faster than Lance in 2001. Yeah, well, okay. Well, the 13th went also faster. So are those first 13 then not normal?
Hello and welcome to JB Squared. I'm JB Hager, joined by Johan Bruneel. We're going to take a look at stage 14, more fireworks in the mountains. And we'll get Johan's take on how this GC battle is going to shake out, and he'll break it down step by step. Before we do that, I know, Johan, I know your son's racing again today. Did you bring your ketone travel?
I forgot. I wish, JB, I wish I did. Because, we look at this time. It's 10:30 in the evening.
Yeah.
2 other shows. I could use a little ketone shot right now.
I've got the big bottle out of the fridge here. There we go. So we'll see how Johan does today without his ketones. It may be terrible. We'll see. Hey, and by the way, 30% off your first subscription order. I recommend getting a subscription. Try it for a while, and you'll get a free 6-pack when you use the link ketone.com/themove. All right, let's jump right in, Johan. I know you're scrambling, probably watching a lot of the race in the car today because your son's out racing. That's why those of you watching, he's in a hotel room somewhere. But you did get to see it, and let's. Sometimes we jump right to the end and talk about the finale. On this case in particular, why don't you go through the breakdown, the breakaway, who was in it, what we saw, and how it unfolded a bit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, as we said yesterday, JB, today was a particular stage. It was hard, but the beginning of the stage was the easiest. And the three big hills, the three big mountains were concentrated in the last 80 kilometers. So a breakaway went, but it took a long time again. It took a very long time. It was incredibly fast. For some reason, everybody wanted to be in the break. And then finally, a group goes with, about 10, 12 riders with some really, really good climbers in there. Was Ben Healy was in there, David Gaudu, Kwiatkowski, Lutsenko, Lascano, and even Mathieu van der Poel was in there. Mm-hmm. I don't know why he was in there, but he was in there. I mean, it looks like Mathieu van der Poel is doing his private altitude training camp for the Olympics during
I know. I try to remind myself sometimes about the Olympics are just right around the corner. And when it came to mind too, not to get off track, but Pidcock went home. I'm sure he has Olympic ambitions again.
He does. But Pidcock, there's something else with Pidcock. He's not feeling his usual self. I mean, you could see he's tried a few times to go on breakaways. One stage earlier on, he got second, but this is not the Pidcock we are used to see. So, I mean, we all know that there's a lot of sickness. Certain guys have COVID. Certain guys are going on with COVID.
I heard there was some gut health issues going around too, stomach problem, which happens every time, right?
Yeah. I mean, JB, listen, you're completely empty. You're overheating. You get ice cold water. I mean, it's a recipe for problems, right? Especially if your body is not able to fight anything from outside anymore. So
you know what? On that note, too. On the move, I know you were very busy this morning, but on the move, I don't know if you've been following it. Magnus Cort has been reviewing the hotel rooms where he stays.
Oh, I've heard that comment on British Eurosport actually.
But the reason I bring it up is that the most recent one that we showed on the move, it is a dump. Like he's like it smells. It's like it's humid. The nearest restroom is down 2 flights of stairs. It looked like a prison.
It is unimaginable, JB. If you have to have been there to know. I mean, this is not glamorous at all. And you go to certain parts of France, and there's not a lot of good hotels. There's actually a lot of crappy hotels. I'm pretty sure, though, that the Tour de France, that direction, is not staying in those kind of hotels. They have the best hotels available.
Yeah, and the reason I'm not trying to sidetrack, it adds to the recovery. You're just trying to get rest and recover, and you're going to get sick.
There are still a lot of hotels, and especially in the Pyrenees, and even in the Massif Central, no AC, horrible. You have to, you have to have a big fan, and I mean, the fan is not the same as AC, right? You don't rest, you don't recover the same way. That's for sure. Then, the state of the beds is sometimes, certain teams have their own mattresses.
Sir Bradley shared that with us, that Ineos was the first to do that, traveling with mobile air conditioning units, dehumidifiers, and their mattresses. Very smart. Okay, back to this breakaway. Sorry.
Yeah. So the break takes 4, 5, 6 minutes, but you can see that. I mean, it was okay, the difference, but it took way too long. It took way too long for that breakaway to go. I mean, for a breakaway today to make it, they had to go from the beginning. And within the peloton, there had to be like a general consensus. Okay, this break is fine. We'll just let it go. And they needed to start the Tourmalet with 6 to 7 minutes. Not the case. So, once they get to the Tourmalet, the breakaway falls apart. Usually, I mean, for a breakaway to make it, the break needs to stay united over the Tourmalet, and then because they need the manpower in the valleys, right? UAE set a pretty hard pace on the Tourmalet. Not with the intention to wear out the peloton or anything. They just did their job to, as the team of the yellow jersey. We've said, I've been critical about UAE in other stages and their way of racing. I think today they did a really good stage tactically. In the sense that they were pacing and they only planned to attack on the last climb and in the second part of the last climb. So that's okay. That's fine. And then, of course, once you see that after 70 kilometers, the breakaway doesn't have a big advantage, then of course, the breakaway will go a certain pace. The peloton will, or the group of favorites will go a certain pace, and they won't take a lot of time, because as soon as Tourmalet starts, it's Marc Soler and another guy. I mean, I don't remember who it was. They're down to 7 riders now, UAE, because they lost Juan Ayuso to COVID. Didn't really feel the difference, I think, today. They were perfectly fine, but yeah, I mean, then those speeds are kind of equal because the breakaway is trying to gain more time, and in the peloton they're still using their non-climbers, so to call them, and because then as soon as they got on the second to last climb, it was Marc Soler who did a really fast pace, and the advantage just melted away very, very fast. You could see from there on that the breakaway was not going to make it. Well,
and you mentioned how it was a lot of people trying to get into a breakaway. We're going to see a lot of that for the remainder of the tour, because there's a lot of teams that might go home empty-handed.
Yeah,
and this GC battle keeps scooping up all these wins. It's very tough.
It's going to be. I mean, yeah, but the thing is, JB, if you look at the remaining stages, those stages are so hard. We're going to see always the same 10 to 15 riders. Those are the only riders that still have the strength to go on breakaways, because plus they need to be climbers, because it's all in the mountains. So we're going to see a lot of the same guys. The guys who were in there, like today, like Kwiatkowski and Godu and Healy and even Carapaz and Lutsenko probably. Those are the guys that are going to go be in breaks all the time.
And they're just praying that they won't get chased down one day, which is very likely.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's going to take a lot. Tomorrow's a different. Tomorrow's a good possibility, because there, between the third and the fourth climb, there's a huge valley, and so if that's a strong group, then because UAE don't normally there they will only use 2 riders. So if you have 2 riders setting a pace against 10 to 12 riders, that gap can increase really fast. The problem is there's still 2 big climbs in the final. So, anyways, we could see that the break had no chance. I mean, as soon as they got on the middle of the Tourmalet, which, by the way, the Tourmalet, I found this little stat: the Tour de France's most visited climb in the history of the Tour. Today was the 61st time they went up the Tourmalet. That's a lot. 61 times up that big mountain. That's a very, very popular climb.
And this is what I think Lance referred to it as the traditional side is what they went up today. The other side is a steeper pitch. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the tradition. I mean, usually, when there's big battles, it's been from the other side. There's been a few times that I remember. I don't know if it was 2010. I guess it was 2010. There was a finish on top of the Tourmalet. And it was a battle between Andy Schleck and Alberto Contador back then. And then they came from the same side. But usually it's either they come on the other side and La Mongie, and then they go down and they go up another climb in the Pyrenees. Like, for example, Luzardiden or Hautacam, or last year they did Coteret. So that's the hard. Today was the easy, so to call, side of the Tourmalet.
Okay, now let's move on to the attack. It sounds like, from what I gather, Pogacar rolled up to Yates and said, "Go!" Like it was sort of an impulsive moment where he wanted him to attack.
Yeah. Well, I mean, winding back a little bit first, JB. Okay. So, they get over the second to last climb. There, you can see already that UAE has the majority of riders compared to Visma. Jonas had only Matteo Jorgensen and Wilco Kelderman. Kelderman was hanging on; he couldn't do a lot, and Pogacar still had Marc Soler and Sivakov and Almeida and Adam Yates, which is incredible out of a group of probably 25 to 30 riders. Marc Soler was at the end of his strength there, but then if you see how when the last climb starts, Pladade, super hard at the beginning. I mean, everybody knows this climb. It's a hard climb. The beginning is very steep, then it kind of eases off a little bit, but then they have 3 or 4 kilometers super steep, and the last 3 are a bit easier. But if you have Soler and then Sivakov takes over, sets a very strong pace. The Kelderman was gone already, so Jonas was left with 1, and Tadej still had 3 guys. So that was already a sign that UAE were on a really good day today. Then Almeida takes over. Almeida, let's not forget, Almeida is sitting in 4th in GC. And that's the guy who sets the tempo, which, there I thought, well, they have a plan, because normally if you look at, you have Pogacar in 1st, Almeida in 4th, and Adam Yates in 7th, based on what we've seen, it should normally be Adam Yates who sets the tempo. It wasn't the case. So Almeida set a strong tempo. And what we saw was that Adam Yates was a little bit further back. All of a sudden, we see that he looks back. Pogacar says something to him, and Adam Yates attacks with, I think, probably like 7K to go, 8K to go. There were still riders from the breakaway in front. Mainly, I mean, the last remaining guy was Ben Healy, who did an amazing climb, by the way. He looked good, but once those, I mean, if you're out there the whole day and you have to go up that last steep climb and long climb, and they're coming from the back, there's no way. And Adam Yates bridged that gap pretty quickly. And so I think that was basically the master move of today, which was, instead of pacing, sending Adam Yates up there. And then you start to see Visma and also Soudal Quickstep a little bit. I don't think they got the pull, but they were starting to get nervous, because if Adam Yates gets more time, he gets closer to Remco, and he can be back on the podium. So Pogacar was, he was having a free taxi ride. I mean, if you could call it like that, right? Because it's uphill. And then finally, when Adam Yates catches Ben Healy, I think it was about 30 seconds or something to the main group. Pogacar attacks, which was an incredible attack. We see that Jonas, in first instance, can't follow. Of course, Matteo Jorgensen was pulling. Jonas needs to react. Matteo is gone. And when I saw Pogacar attack, Jonas reacts a little bit later, as he has done until now, and it worked out really well. He finds his tempo, and then he kind of, ups it, a little bit by bit. But this time, I saw one little detail that I say, ooh, he's on the limit. And, when Pogacar attacked, he got like a 10-second gap. Jonas started to set his pace, and he was looking back. He was looking back where Remco was. That's not a good sign.
I thought he was looking for Jorgensen, looking for some help.
Jorgensen was gone. I mean,
he was spent. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So, normally if those two guys are fighting it out, Jonas does not need to worry about Remco, and definitely not wanting to hope for his help, because he knows that normally these two riders, Jonas and Tadej, they have a pace which is just a tiny bit faster than everybody else, as we have seen many times. So there you could see that he was okay, Jonas. I mean, he could still limit the losses, but definitely not the same guy like a few days ago. Or it could also be that Pogacar was just stronger than the other day. I think that's the case, probably, because the performance of Pogacar when he got reeled in by Jonas was, in my opinion, not the usual Pogacar we normally see.
Yeah, there definitely was a different look on Pogacar today, both during and after. I think he was looking like you described it, Lance, like he just looked stressed. I think Sir Bradley said the same thing when we just seen him on the podium a couple days ago. They're like, but whatever was wrong seems to be fixed today.
Well, it's up and down. We don't know. Once you have a good day, what I liked today about UAE is that they did ride for the stage win, but they only did it on the last climb and on the second part and on the hardest part of the last climb, which apparently, I mean, if I can believe the interviews of both Pogacar and Adam Yates, this was not the plan. The plan was that Adam Yates would then set a pace, and then Pogacar would try to either accelerate at the very end to try to gain a few seconds and the bonification. That was their plan, to gain 4 or 5 seconds, because if Tadej wins, it's 10 seconds. If Jonas gets second, it's 6 seconds. So maybe put another 5 seconds in, so another 10 seconds in total, right? So for some reason, they have changed the plan. It apparently was not an instruction from the car. It was Pogacar's initiative, and it was funny to hear Adam Yates say, the thing is with Tadej, you never know what the plan is. He just changes the plan depending on how he feels, and you could see that Adam Yates was normally planning to pace, and all of a sudden he got the instruction or the ask to attack, and he was surprised, but he did it, which is amazing in itself.
Okay, I'm trying to, Johan, I'm trying to think of myself. Let's say I'm a super domestique. I'm pacing the fastest man in the peloton. Well, I shouldn't say the best rider in the world really right now. I'm pacing him up. I'm the last pace man. And so I'm probably near a limit. And then he tells me to attack. He
was not pacing yet. Yet. So it was Almeida who was pacing, which Almeida is a different type of rider. Almeida is more like a constant tempo. Okay. And Adam Yates has this, he can accelerate and slow down and accelerate again. Also, if you see, it's two completely different riders. So, if Almeida is just a guy, he's just sitting down and paces very fast. Adam Yates, he's always out of the saddle.
Mm-hmm.
Accelerating, and but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. They go fast, both of them. But hearing Adam Yates say that with Tadej, you never know what the plan is. It's you have to be up to the task, right? I mean, if Adam Yates was sitting there and say, okay, I'm just waiting now until Almeida is done and then I'm doing my job, then all of a sudden you see, hey, Adam, try to attack. There's only 7 or 8 guys left, and everybody's on the limit. And the guy attacked, and he took 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, Adam Yates was 3rd in the Tour last year, after all. So having a guy like that, and that was really that move was really very, very, very good. I think it put the hurt on Visma. And when Tadej got a gap, you could clearly see Adam Yates slowed down. And then he paced Tadej only for 500 meters, but very important 500.
Yeah, that gives him a chance to get a little reprieve, just to breathe for a second and then go, right?
Exactly. And there, JB, you could see that Jonas was going to have a hard time because, so Tadej attacked. He bridged up to Adam Yates, sat on the wheel, and then Jonas kept pacing, and he did not bring the gap. Normally, Jonas's pace should bring the time back a little bit when Adam Yates was pulling Tadej, and you could clearly see that it stayed the same, and you could clearly see that Pogacar was. I'm not going to say he was cruising, but you could see he was not going full, and he was just waiting until finally Adam Yates was done. It was funny to hear Adam Yates with his British accent say, well, I'm just pacing, and then all of a sudden, I feel like I'm done, and I need to the only thing I need to do is I need to flick the elbow and hope that Tadej's in my wheel and goes. Mm-hmm. That's what he did. From that moment on, you could see that the gap with Jonas was slowly increasing. And it was actually a very, very well-timed move because I think Pogacar attacks with a little less than 5K to go. And everybody knew that it eases off with 3K to go. So he had 2 kilometers to really, build up that gap. And then there was, they got more speed and we could see that there was even a little downhill. And then the last 600-700 meters of Pladade are hard again. But, 43 seconds in total, 30, I think it's 39 plus, 4 seconds difference in bonuses. So 43 seconds benefit. Now the gap is almost 2 minutes. It's far from over, but this was an important battle that Pogacar won, both time-wise and especially also mentally. I think after the doubts the other day, we could see that what happened the other day. I'm convinced it was a fueling issue, and that he was running out of energy. He had no food, no gels, no carbs, and went too early. Didn't happen today. I think today he filled up on carbs like constantly and made sure that whenever he tried to go, the tank was pretty full.
Well, we still have a lot of climbing before that last time trial. You never know when you can get the nutrition wrong. Either one of those, any of those top guys. And Jonas said I don't know if it was part of his post-race interview, another interview, because I was reading it, but he said, tomorrow suits me better.
Okay. Well, I don't know what didn't suit today. 3 big climbs at the end of the stage. Tomorrow is 200K. It's a hard stage. There's 4 category 1 climbs and then finishing on Plateau de Bay, which is a horse category climb. But I don't see it much different than today, actually. there's not much you could, in terms of Jonas, there's not much he can do until basically the last climb. And the problem that I see is that this year's Tour de France team of Visma Lease Bike, due to all the bad luck they had in the lead up to the Tour, is not as strong as UAE. It's not as strong as their teams from the last 2 years. And if Jonas wants to attack, he needs a few guys that can prepare the terrain. Matteo Jorgensen is in good shape. He's in 10th place overall, so that shows that he's on a good level. Then the other guy is Wilco Kelderman, who was there, but was not there anymore when UAE started to accelerate. You can have Wout van Aert in a breakaway, and then Wout van Aert could do his usual thing.
We've seen that in the past. I was just thinking about that. Of course, they're missing Sepp Kuss, but in the past, in recent years, we've seen Wout van Aert get in all these breaks. Then he can pull through the valleys in between. Really effective teammate. Yeah. We're not quite seeing that this year.
Well, listen, we don't know. Could be that tomorrow he does it. We have to be honest, JB. Wout van Aert this year, due to that terrible crash he had in the month of March, it's not the same Wout van Aert as we used to see. It's just he is improving, but this is not the Wout van Aert who did this incredible rides in the mountains, on the flats, in the time trials, and in the sprints. That's not the case, unfortunately, right now.
Yeah, if we have any new listeners who've just started following, just based on numbers, I'm assuming we do. In the last few years, Visma was just a powerful team. So it's such a shame that injuries are being a factor in all of his support in this tour for Jonas.
Yeah. No, it's definitely. And in the first place, JB, Jonas himself, he comes back from really, really deep, and we're getting all caught up in the hype that Jonas, he's getting better and this and that. Okay, this Pogacar's in pretty good shape too. He did a mistake. He did a mistake the other day, ran out of fuel. The team didn't, in my opinion, do the best job by being too aggressive from way too far. But hey, it looks like they're learning their lesson. We already said yesterday that Pogacar declared that he could be a little bit more defensive. Well, he did that until with 5K to go, he forgot about that, I think.
Hey, with Pogacar, it could have been the climb earlier. This is a big improvement, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. It is now he really needs to be conservative and just defend that gap. If he rides defensively, I predict it's going to be extremely difficult for Jonas to drop him. He could stay with him, but from staying with him to dropping him, that's a big difference. So we'll see. I'm not saying the tour is over, right? It's below 2 minutes. There's still a week to go. Very hard stages, a lot of climbing to come. So anything can happen. But today is an important win for Pogacar, and a very big step in the right direction.
Let's talk about Remco and just a little bit of history. I'll try to be quick. This Remco Evenepoel, Belgian rider, the cycling mecca of the world. Lots of criticism, lots of doubts if he could be a Tour de France. He's obviously, has won a Grand Tour. Including us, right. And that was, a lot of it was because of his size. He's leaned out. He's got a 4-minute gap going into this third week. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but this looks very promising. And I said it on the move this morning, and I want your thoughts on it. Remco getting third in the Tour de France, his first Tour de France, is a huge victory. Yeah.
I think that's the best he could hope for. I said before, realistically, he should go for top 5. Of course, then we still had Primoz and some other riders in the race, but we have. Let's not forget he is, after all, a Grand Tour winner also, right? He won as well. But he is definitely on the good way to be on the podium. You can see he's in great shape. He rides with confidence. He knows that his pace is just a little below those two guys. Sometimes tries to stay with Jonas. Sometimes need to let him go. But today he defended himself really, really well. Let's not forget. I mean, he's only 2 minutes 22 behind Pogacar. He's only 25 seconds behind Jonas. And then if you think about the fact that João Almeida is in fourth, and João Almeida will be in a position that he has to pace, it starts to look really good for Remco for the podium. Especially also because the last stage is a time trial, which is his backyard.
I know you wanted to talk about the name has not come up yet on this show, I don't believe, or the move is Derek G.
Yeah, Derek G. We haven't talked about him. I think he deserves a serious honorable mention. He's in 9th place overall right now. Very, relatively unexperienced rider in Grand Tours, at least for the GC. But let's not forget, he finished 3rd in the Dauphiné, which, was Roglic, Jurgensen, Derek G. First time we ever saw him at that level in a GC of a big stage race with, mountains and time trialing. I am pleasantly surprised that he's top 10. We don't know if he's going to stay there. The guy's fighting. He's hanging on for dear life. I just saw an interview of him. He's suffering, and he's trying to stay with little groups, but he's there. So I think he deserves to be applauded. And top 10 in the Tour. He's not there yet, but he has a chance to finish top 10. So I definitely wanted to mention him today. And we haven't talked about him. I personally thought, Derek G 3rd in the Dauphiné, that's a great result, form of his life. He's going to fade away a little bit now and not be that good in the Tour. I mean, he's not podium like he was in the Dauphiné, but still, for him being up there, that's a huge, huge performance.
With the help of a listener, I thought I was getting one up on Johan. I sent you a graphic of Pogacar that actually a listener sent me. But I was like, look, Pogacar went up 2 minutes faster than Armstrong, than Lance did in 2001. And then Johan comes back to me and he goes, 13 guys beat that.
That's true. I mean, yeah.
That just shows you the level of talent, the speed, 13 people were faster than that 2001 time.
Yeah. Yeah, and was that the record, 2001?
Till today, yes.
Okay. I mean, it's just, I'm hearing all these people, they're going so fast and it's not possible. They're beating the times from 20 years ago. And hey, there's something called evolution. And a lot has evolved since the 2000s, so the early 2000s. I mean, first and foremost, JB, the bikes, I mean, you cannot compare at all. The equipment of the bikes, the suits, the aero, anything. I mean,
the training, the nutrition, the recovery, there's dozens of ways they recover now that you guys weren't doing 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah. But when, as I said, I'm here now with my son, and they're 15, 16-year-olds. So it's the first, like the youngest category. Last week, they did a race, 71 kilometers, and it was about 900 meters of elevation. I mean, and these kids almost did 42 kilometers average, 15-year-olds. That's, if I look back, when I've actually done the test. I mean, of course, it's a very long time ago, but when I was that age, my races were 36, 37 kilometers per hour at that age.
Yeah, same thing. Even non-professional, they're just faster for all the reasons you just mentioned.
Yeah, so much faster, much faster.
No, and this would be interesting.
There's another thing, JB. I mean, maybe not for the climbs, but even for the climbs, aerodynamics. Aerodynamics is everything nowadays. The position is so aero. The clothing. I mean, even when Lance was riding, if you look at videos when Lance was winning the tours, he had jerseys. It was like a parachute.
I want to go back to when you were 15. You weren't on a Ventum NS1 and shoes that cost 400 euros, like the Eco shoes that Christians. Think about the gear that and the nutrition that he has. And let's throw aside that his father is Johan Brunel. Like, if all these club kids, right? Yeah. That what they have at their disposal at age 15 compared to what you had.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm not surprised. I mean, I always say the same, because there are certain people, especially on social media, and that they make it a thing. They always, there's one or two like really French haters, and anything of Pogacar and Vingegaard and even Remco, it's not possible. It's not normal, they say. Then I look, at these times, and look, you just gave me the time. 2 minutes faster than Lance in 2001. Yeah, well, okay. Well, the 13th went also faster. So are those first 13 then not normal?
Right. No? It's just faster all the way around.
Exactly. But if you look, I mean, to come back on Pogacar's performance, it is an amazing performance. However, JB, it's not the first time he does this, but if you look, and consider that Otakam is, let me see how high it is. It is, what is it? Okay, so 1,700 meters more or less. So let's say the effort he did was from 1,400 meters altitude to 1,700 meters. It is already above 1,000 meters. You have to have that in mind when you look at the watts per kilo. But he, for almost 30 minutes, Pogacar did 6.85 watts per kilo. If you translate that to watts per kilo at sea level, that would be 7.2 watts per kilo over 30 minutes.
Oh, so that's pretty much, that's his max.
That's his max. That's his best. Yeah, that's his best performance.
Oh, yeah, I looked at that graphic and saw an average of 6.7. So I thought it was at like 90% on this attack, but I didn't know the sea level variable there.
I mean, if you go above 2,000 meters, it still decreases more. But anyway, from 1,500 to 1,400 to 1,700, it does have some impact. And doing that after 14 stages, and at the end of such a hard and fast stage, it is an amazing performance. So this is Pogacar at its best. And so Jonas is not far off. He's not far off. Today he was not good enough to follow, but hey, tomorrow maybe is different.
Yeah, he did say tomorrow suits me better. I don't think we'll spend a ton of time on this show talking about tomorrow, because it is almost kind of a repeat of today.
Well, I mean, it starts. It's longer. It's almost 200 kilometers, and the climb starts straight away from the start. So that's JB. That's horrible. That is horrible. I mean, that's from the start you go up top of the first climb 7 kilometers, and it's called the Pere Sourde, which is not an easy climb. The Pere Sourde. So straight away, this is going to be madness. Madness. I mean, bodies everywhere. And of course, there's a lot of downhill and valleys to kind of bring it back together. But tomorrow is it's cruel actually to do that.
And I think for a lot of us, the coverage starts a little bit earlier. It's on the weekend. This sort of stage, it's probably going to be worth tuning in a lot sooner, if you can. Yeah,
I mean, especially the start. The start will be interesting. Then then probably the race will settle down. Then maybe around 1-2 o'clock, maybe at least in Spain. Time for a little siesta. And wake up.
It is a good sport for that. Cycling and golf, you can just kind of.
I think if you look at the profile, I'm going to say from kilometer 75 to kilometer 127. So that's about good 55K. That's time for a nap.
Nap time.
Yeah. 1.5. It's 1.5 hours. It's going to be 1.5 hour now.
We should make this an ongoing thing where Johan tells you where your nap window is.
Tomorrow is between 75 and 127.
Okay. All right. Let's jump into Ventum Trivia. We're going to give away a brand new NS1 road bike, the bike we were just talking about. Yesterday's question was, last November, Germany's Amazon Prime released a documentary on Jan Ulrich. What was it called? In English, it was The Hunted. In German, auf Deutsch, Der Gejagte.
Der Gejagte. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Today's question, this is going to take a little research. I think it's a little bit out there. Going to have to do some work. Which Ventum employee twice won the U.S. Pro Crit National Championship and was runner-up at the U.S. National Championship Road Race? Pretty cool.
No idea.
Yeah. Send your answer. Do the research. Send your answer. You have some time until the end of the day to do that. VentumRacing.com/themove. Okay. And also, if you are in the market for a brand new bike, until the end of July, you can get 20% off any Ventum bike. That's road, gravel, e-gravel, and they make some really, really high-performing tri-bikes too, if you're into that. That's actually where they got started in it. A couple of questions for you. Here we go. Is longtime fan of the Move podcast, especially JB2. Not long ago, Audrey Vanderpool commented on how unhealthy thin riders in the peloton look. What are Johan's thoughts on that? This is from, and I'm going to try my best here, Matjaž Mrinovic. What do you think?
I saw that quote from Audrey, actually, and he said, he's happy that his son has a different approach to cycling, that, he does do things professionally, but not to the extreme of, always weighing his food year round, and, makes it a bit easier if you're called Mathieu van der Poel and you have the genes of Adri and the genes of Remco Evenepoel. They're the biggest talent in the world. It makes it a bit easier,
Yeah.
But I agree. The riders are super skinny. It's all about power to weight. As long as you can maintain your power and lose 2 kilos or 3 kilos, then you're in the game. Today, for example, today you could really see, because we had a lot of shots from the back of Jonas Vingegaard. How tiny he is, how narrow he is.
Yeah, we didn't think there was anything to lose from the last 2 years.
He is so little, of course he goes up these hills amazingly fast, because and I don't know, I think he's 58 kilos, right? Or 57 kilos. We were actually watching the race on my iPad just before the start of my son's race, and there was, there's 5 riders on the team here, and I say, you know what? There's probably one of you 5 who weighs less than Vingegaard. Everybody else weighs more than him. They're 15 years old.
Yeah,
they're super tall. But still, I agree with Adri. But the way cycling is now, that's what it is. If you're above 70 kilos, you need to have an insane amount of power to balance that weight watts per kilo ratio with those guys who, like Jonas probably doesn't have huge watts numbers, but hey, doesn't need to,
Do you find that, that some of these riders with it, most of them have nutritionists, I assume, and it's very calculated. Do they lose weight test? Okay, now the power's dropping. That's the number. Do they do that?
I think so. So. We've all seen the other day on the show, on the Move, when we had Matteo Jorgensen on the show. He had no shirt on, amongst other. He had nothing.
The show's taken a new twist this year, by the way.
Matteo's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's tall. He has the wide shoulders, how narrow he was. You know how it is. It cost. I mean, listen. I mean, first and foremost, the riders, they need to sacrifice so much to get to that kind of weight. They've tested it. They've tried everything. 2 kilos more, 4 kilos more, 2 kilos less. That's what it needs to be. You need to find the balance between your ideal power and your lightest possible weight. And if you lose weight and you lose a little bit of power, that's fine. It's until you lose too much power that then that's too much. So it is calculated. It's mathematical.
And then there's Jonas Abrahamson, who's on the other end of the spectrum.
That's just that guy. That guy is unbelievable. I mean, what a story.
Yeah.
And I know Lance had doubts about the weight gain. He thought it was pounds. It was kilos.
20 kilos.
Crazy.
All right, one more quick question. Rumor has it that Simon Yates, who's been a bit disappointing this tour, is heading to Visma, and Ben O'Connor is his replacement. Good move. What can they aim for with him? And this is from AJ in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's not a rumor. It's a fact. Ben O'Connor goes to Jaco Alula for sure. And Simon Yates goes to Visma for sure. I think Simon has been at Jaco, the Green Edge team, so we call it, for a very long time now. I think he has come to an end. His cycle has come to an end there. And Visma is, just trying to recruit. I mean, listen, that's crazy actually to think about. So Adam Yates is domestique for Pogacar, and now Simon Yates is going to be domestique for Jonas next year. I mean, imagine that, those two Yates brothers leading it out for their leaders.
Well, let's remind people they what was it, stage 1 last year, where it was the two of them basically.
First and second.
So we're seeing a strong Adam this year. Simon can't get there. It's just off right now.
Well, I mean, but last year they were 3rd and 4th in GC also. JB. Yeah. Adam was 3rd. Simon was 4th.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I think it's a good move. Probably Simon Yates needs to change the environment. Needs to change his comfort zone. He's been a very long time there. It's for the moment it's not working out. Visma for sure has come with a good financial offer, and I think it's a good move.
All right, good question. If you have a question for Johan, please send it in, themove@wedo.team. Thank you for tuning in. I know it's a super late night for you, Johan, so we appreciate you doing this, along with Outcomes, which is going to be very interesting for tomorrow, and La Movida yet to come. So anyhow, thanks for tuning in, and Johan, we will talk tomorrow, big day before a rest day.